Turning now to your community focus, it is still a year away, but the race for Rhode Island's governor is shaping up. Joining us to talk about that and more, 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming. Joe, nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
So I want to talk about the most recent development in the governor's race. Former CVS executive Helena Foulkes jumped into the already crowded Democratic field. Who does she potentially take votes away from?
Well, I think with her in the race now, it makes it a wide open field. She takes things away from different people in the race. For example, Seth Magaziner, it's going to cut into his money sources because she's going to have a lot of the same money sources. Nellie Goodbay, is now a second woman in the race. Dan McKee, we don't know on how moderate or how liberal she is, so she may take some of his votes. The other question is, most people in Rhode Island do not know much about her. They know she's a CVS executive, but they don't really know a lot about her. So over the next few months, people are going to have to get an image of her, and that's going to determine how much impact she's going to have on this race. She's unknown right now. However, she has a lot of money. She can get in the race and spend the money and get herself very known very easily. But right now, it's basically anybody's race. You got Matt Brown in there, who got like 34% of the vote last time, and in a six-way race, that could win it. But the question is, was some of Matt Brown's vote people who just did not want to vote for Gina Raimondo? And those people may not vote for Matt Brown this time. They may go elsewhere. So there's a lot of fluid in this race right now. We have no idea. Maybe next April and May, we may get a clearer picture of what's going to happen. But right now, it's really anybody's race. I think because Dan McKee a couple months ago was very strong. But I think we had the Tony Silva problem. Then we had the ILO education contract investigation going on. I think those two things have really brought Dan McKee down to earth.
What about the Republicans, Joe? Because we still don't have a candidate declared.
No.
I think they hinted a while back right here on 12 News at 4 that they had someone in mind. It's someone who hasn't run before, but that's really all we've gotten.
Right. I mean, we've heard Dave Donington, the former Bridge Authority chairman, said he wants to run. Rumors of Blake Filippi, the House Minority Leader, is really thinking about running for governor, but he hasn't said yet. The other thing is, too, in the past, the Republicans had very good luck by coming up with somebody out of politics. For example, they had Don Kacheri, a businessman who had a lot of his own money, who could self-fund. Right now, the Republicans that are out there are not that well known, but if you have a lot of money, you can get yourself known. And with a 5- or 6-way Democratic primary, and if the Republicans could have a clear picture, it could give them a better chance in this race.
I want to pivot back to Governor Dan McKee. We obviously have an incumbent governor who could run again.
Right.
We expect him to run.
Correct.
He hasn't formally declared. What's the strategy there?
Well, I don't think he needs to declare right now for the simple reason. He's the governor. He's known. He gets press whenever he wants it. The other candidates need to get out there early so they can raise money. But being the governor, it gives you a big advantage. So I would think Dan McKee is going to wait till after the first of the year, announce then, and get into the campaign mode. But right now, just being governor gives him a lot of press and gives him a lot of exposure to get himself better known. Remember, he probably wasn't that well known before he became governor. Now he's probably a household name.
Joe, any other statewide primaries you're keeping your eye on right now?
Yes, I'm looking at lieutenant governor a little bit. Right now we have a primary there shaping up. The other one is going to be very interesting, is general treasurer. There's like 5 or 6 Democrats who are already thinking about running for that race, including the House Finance Chairman, the Senate Finance Chairman, the President of the Providence City Council, the Treasurer of the Democratic Party in Rhode Island. There's a number of Democrats who are basically feeling it out right now. None have declared they're running, but they're all feeling it out. The other thing is, rumors are Alan Fung is possibly thinking about running for general treasurer. 2-time Republican candidate for governor. He may look at that. He may be able to put himself in a position saying, look what I did in Cranston, how I really brought Cranston back. I could help as treasurer of the state of Rhode Island. I know the finances.
You briefly mentioned the lieutenant governor's race. We've got something interesting going on this time around. We're expecting to see at least 2 pairs run together, McKee and Matos if they run again, and also Matt Brown and Cynthia Mendes.
Correct.
But it's not actually a joint ticket. So what happens if we get a mix and match of
you're correct, Kim. It's not a joint ticket. They're not on the ballot together. They're running separately. We don't know if anybody else is going to get in that race. I will not be surprised if there's more people in that race. But I think what will happen, we've seen before, we had Democratic governors, Republican lieutenant governors, and vice versa in the state of Rhode Island. So things like that have happened. But they're all Democrats right now. I would think if whoever wins the governor's primary and whoever wins the lieutenant governor's primary will work together in November to get elected. I think those things can be taken care of. I would be more concerned about strong Republicans running for lieutenant governor and other offices than the 2 Democrats.
Were you surprised, by the way, when Mayor Lorza decided not to run?
No, I wasn't surprised.
The 1%.
It was like the only shock that we've had so far, I feel like, in this race.
I wasn't overly surprised. I think he looked at the picture, he looked at the people who are running, and he looked at the whole landscape in the state of Rhode Island and realized, my guess is, he didn't see a path to victory. If you can't find a path to victory, there's no sense in really running.
That is very true. All right, 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming, always a pleasure having you here.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Joe.